Southlake, Texas is a city that we're featuring today. We're talking affordability, we're talking lifestyle, real estate, we're talking about it all. Everything that you need to know about Southlake. So first, let's understand where in the heck Southlake, Texas even is. Southlake is located west of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, northeast of Fort Worth. And Southlake borders the cities of Grapevine, Colleyville, Keller, Westlake, and Trophy Club. Now, if you're trying to get to bigger towns like Fort Worth, from downtown Southlake to downtown Fort Worth, it's going to take about 30 minutes. Now, if you're trying to get to Dallas, that's going to take about 30 minutes as well. And if you're trying to get to DFW International Airport, that's a very short commute, and that's going to take you about 10 minutes from Southlake. Now, if you're trying to get around fast in Southlake, you're going to need to hit up Highway 114. Now, those travel times help you identify proximity to larger cities that you've probably heard of before and that you'll find going to for events or you'll find going to for leisure and really going out. However, to truly share what a commute looks like from Southlake, let's apply our how far can I go in 30-minute test, given that this is a visual representation on how far you can travel away from Southlake in 30 minutes. So as you can see, Southlake truly is in the heart of it all. From Southlake, within 30 minutes, you can get to Denton, you can get to Corinth, you can get to Louisville, cover everything in Flower Mound, hop on over to the Colony, reach Frisco, and get really close to McKinney. You can get to Plano, Richardson, cover everything of Coppell, Carrollton, Farmers Branch, cover a good portion of Dallas, everything in Irving, a good portion of Grand Prairie, a good portion of Arlington, and get very, very close to Mansfield overall, and also get into a good part of Fort Worth as well. So once again, we are covering Southlake, Texas in depth in this video. And now that you have a better understanding of where Southlake, Texas even is, I want to welcome you to the DFW Homeowner YouTube channel, the go-to real estate channel for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. My name is Jaime Resendez, your local realtor and team leader, able to help you make money in real estate, whether you're buying or selling in the DFW Metroplex. So don't forget to hit that like button because that really helps out the channel. All right, so let's get back to Southlake, Texas, because this is what you came for. Southlake is a city in Tarrant County, first settled in the 1840s, but wasn't incorporated until 1956. And it's been growing steadily in the recent years to the point where the population is now over 32,000 residents. And now here's the deal. Southlake is known for its affluent population. If you say you live in Southlake, there's a correct assumption that you're well off. Southlake is where the celebrities, professional athletes, executives, and anybody looking for that luxury lifestyle go to live in the Metroplex. In fact, it's one of the most expensive cities, not only in the Metroplex, but in the entire country. So with that being said, Southlake is also known for incredible retail, incredible restaurants, and an incredible high school team that just does not lose. All right, so allow me to pause here for a quick second and really stress one important thing. Folks, Southlake is in a league of its own. Now, there's some comparable cities that we'll cover towards the end of the video, but at the end of the day, Southlake is one of the most desirable places to live in the country. All right, so let's resume because I really needed to stress that point. Now, according to the most recent city information, 94.5% of households are owner occupied, which means that the actual owners of the home live in the home and are not renting it out. Now, for context, the state of Texas averages about a 62.3% owner occupied rate. Now, if you're curious on just about how many households exist in Southlake, you're looking at just about 9,300 households with an average of 3.4 persons per household. Now, when it comes to education, 98% of Southlake's residents have a high school diploma, and about 70% of the residents have at least a bachelor's degree. Now, when it comes to the median household income in Southlake, you're looking at almost $224,000 per year, which is almost 4 times the Texas median income of $64,000. And right about now, there's several of you thinking, what about the weather? Well, as far as the weather is concerned, the 2 hottest months are in July and August, with an average high temperature of 96 degrees and an average low temperature of 73. And if the cold temperatures are more of your style, the 2 coldest months are in December and in January, with an average high of 56 degrees and an average low of 32 degrees in those 2 coldest months. All right, so let's check out jobs for a quick second because many of you like living, playing, and working in the same city. So let's see what the employer situation is like. The largest employer in Southlake is Sabre Holdings with over 3,500 employees. Now, the second largest employer is Carroll ISD with over 1,100 employees. And the third largest is Keller Williams with over 700, Gateway Church with over 600, and Verizon Wireless with almost 600 employees as well. Now, I'll admit, I just threw a lot of data at you, but without context, you're not going to be able to formulate enough of an opinion when it comes to Southlake. So to add context, I need to introduce an external resource in niche.com, which analyzes millions upon millions of data points across the United States, across Texas, and across the Metroplex. So naturally today we will focus on Southlake's report card, given that it was graded on 12 meaningful categories. And of those 12 categories, Southlake secured an A in the following: public schools, housing, good for families, jobs, and health and fitness. And in the rest of the categories, Southlake secured a B, which include the cost of living, outdoor activities, crime and safety, nightlife, diversity, weather, and commute. And if you've watched any of our other city tour videos, you're probably waiting for the C grade. Well, it's Southlake. There are none. All right, so now that we know more about Southlake, understanding a little bit of the history, understand some of the demographics and some of the nuances when it comes to Southlake, let's hear firsthand from current residents and what they have to say. We moved here after retiring to be close to our children and grandkids and have found Southlake to be an excellent place to live. We live in a very secure and safe neighborhood and yet are close to everything: great shopping, medical facilities, and the airport is an easy 15-minute drive. Another resident says, I like the convenience in Southlake. It has a lot of places to connect with others, whether it's a restaurant, a coffee shop, or local entertainment. I would like for the city to be more diverse. It has a lot of attraction. However, I seem to run into the same people all of the time. Southlake has a lot of resources to help support other neighboring cities. Another resident says, I've lived in Southlake for nearly 6 years. The town is quite lovely, but can be homogeneous ethnically, politically, and architecturally. I attended Carroll High School for 1 year and generally enjoyed my time there. My high school counselor was quite helpful for me when I was applying for colleges. Once I started college, I continued living in Southlake and commuted to Richardson. Although there is not a lot of traffic, rush hour in Southlake is definitely noticeable, and Southlake often has cultural or artistic events which are enjoyable to attend. And another resident says, Southlake, Texas is probably the best but most expensive place to live in Texas. It is experiencing a lot of growth and construction. The police and fire department do really well and the city is set up nice. Overall, I have enjoyed living here as everything you need is nearby. Now, a former resident had this to say: one of my favorite places in the area. I love living here when I did. It's a wonderful community with excellent people. Even though Southlake can be consumed with traffic, most neighborhoods are peaceful and quiet. Lots of charming homes, most notably on Whitechapel, Peytonville, Dove Road, Randall Mill Road, Davis Boulevard, and Stone Lakes. There's excellent job options off of 114 and Southlake Boulevard, from retail shops to eateries to vets and doctors. Southlake is just blooming with potential. Although Southlake isn't the most affordable place in the area, it is just beautiful and has great public schools. And the last resident we'll feature had this to say: I've lived in Southlake for about 15 years and I've absolutely loved it. It's a suburb of Dallas and has a super cute and homey feel. Southlake is pretty much middle upper class living. The city has a town square, which is the center of all the action in Southlake, and the only movie theater in Southlake is in town square, so of course it's busy. Southlake is a fun environment and atmosphere. The city hosts annual events such as Art in the Square, Oktoberfest, the Christmas lighting, 4th of July, and more. I would like to see more diversity in Southlake, but otherwise it's an amazing place to live. Alright, so let's talk about the reviews and how we handle them in this YouTube channel when we're covering all of the cities that we cover. In all the cities that we look at, we avoid the extremes. We avoid the super negative reviews, and also we avoid the super positive reviews, because those two extremes don't really bring much to the conversation. Now, the moderate reviews that we do end up using, of course, will have a general theme. Some of them will be quite positive and others will be a little bit more on the negative side, but that's okay. Now, what I'm more interested in is your opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below if you currently live in Southlake, or if you have some experience with Southlake, or are considering moving to Southlake altogether. Also, if you've made it to this part of the video, a huge thank you. I really appreciate you sticking around, and I would ask that you consider subscribing to the YouTube channel for more real estate information. All right, so here's really where we start having some fun. Let's talk about the park situation in Southlake. So as you can see, there's plenty of park options for you to choose from. Now, one quick note, not not all of the smaller parks made it onto this map. So if you're interested in a specific area and what the park situation is like in that area, then make sure to zoom in. But with that being said, let's check out some of the higher rated parks. So let's start off with Bicentennial Park. Alright, so that's Bicentennial Park. Let's head up north to Bob Jones Park. All right, so now that we have an understanding of the park situation, let's talk about the schools, because the school system is something that, whether you have kids or not, is super important for you, especially if you're looking to purchase in Southlake, because in many cases, people are looking to live in the Southlake specifically for the schools. All right, so here's how we feature the schools on this YouTube channel. I'll leave a full breakdown of the Southlake school system in the description, because there's some things as a real estate agent that I cannot talk about. But what I can talk about is the location of the schools, so that's what we're going to look at today. So let's kick things off with the Clarendon School, Jack D. Johnson Elementary School, Fusion Academy, Carroll Elementary School, Walnut Grove Elementary School, Old Union Elementary School, Carroll Senior High School, Florence Elementary School, Carroll Middle School, Carroll High School, Eubanks Intermediate School, Don T. Durham Intermediate School, the Goddard School of Southlake, George Dawson Middle School, Rockenbaugh Elementary, Acton Academy in Southlake, Acton Academy, Carpe Diem Private Preschool, and Southlake Preschool in Richmond. All right, so now that we have more information of Southlake, we've talked a bit more about parks, talked a bit about the history, talked about some schools. Let's talk about what really matters, because here's where the ultimate test comes in. This can dictate where you live, where you work, and where you spend the last several hours of a Saturday, because you know that on the Sunday, you're out of luck. And this, of course, can only mean one thing. Is there a Chick-fil-A in Southlake? And the answer is absolutely. It's on the corner of East Southlake Boulevard and South Kimball Avenue. All right, I'm only halfway kidding with that. It is important, but it's not everything. You can always go to a surrounding city and get you some Chick-fil-A. Now let's talk about some Southlake real estate. I've been alluding to it this entire time. We hear that in the reviews. We hear that in the public remarks when it comes to Southlake. So now we really need to address it. Let's see what the housing situation is like, because regardless if you're a renter or a homeowner, you need to understand what the real estate market is doing to Southlake, as it impacts so much of your life. Because when we talk about real estate, we're effectively talking about wealth creation. We're talking about a significant portion of your cost of living, and we're talking about quality of life and so much more. So let's start off macro for a second and see what the home values are according to Zillow. The typical home value of homes in Southlake is $1,132,477. This value is seasonally adjusted and only includes the middle price tier of homes. Southlake home values have gone up 29.9% over the past year. And no, the year-over-year change in value is absolutely not a typo. Homes have accelerated by that much and actually more. So I want you to see what home values have been doing in the past 10 years in Southlake. As you can see, there has been a steady rise until 2021 hit, and it absolutely exploded, which is a very common theme across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now again, I really want you to lean in on this real estate conversation, regardless if you're renting or regardless if you're a homeowner, because the home value is very important, not because you're looking to sell today or looking to sell in 10 years or 20 years or ever, but because of the property taxes that you have to pay. Property taxes in Texas are some of the higher ones across the country. Now there are a lot of pros of why people move to Texas. There's a big reason why there's a lot of Californians moving to Texas. But when it comes to property taxes, that's not one of them. And although there's less than 5% of the population in Southlake that's actually renting, that doesn't mean that the property taxes don't ultimately impact you. Guess who's paying for property taxes indirectly? Well, that's you, because you're renting. So again, if you're a homeowner, then you're paying property taxes every single year without fail. And if you're renting, well, if the owner's property values have gone up so high and they have to pay property taxes on that value, well, guess who they're going to pass that on to? Right? And I'm not villainizing anybody. That's just a reality. I didn't write the news. I'm just reporting it, right? So I have several properties of my own, and every single one is getting an updated rental amount for next year because property taxes just absolutely have eaten my lunch. So when it comes to calculating your property taxes, it's quite simple. You're going to take the assessed value, the value that the county has assessed your property to be worth, and you're going to multiply that by the property tax rate of Southlake. And that rate is roughly 2.24%, which that property tax rate is comprised of the city of Southlake, Carroll ISD, Tarrant County Hospital, and Tarrant County College. Numbers, stats, and figures without context, or in this case visuals, isn't the best way to help you when it comes to real estate. The best way I can help you though is by visually showing you the type of home these median home values actually bring you. All right, so let's look at what's available right now in real time in the MLS when it comes to Southlake. So there's 114 properties averaging $1.87 million. Now, two quick things. This is substantially higher than that 1.1 average median sales price that we saw from Zillow. Well, the Zillow information was a couple of months back, so that's the latest that they had given us. But here, something else to consider is that this actually includes the commercial side. So this is higher than that 1.1 million, but it's not going to be truly 1.87 million because of the commercial. So we need to take that out. We're going to look at only single family, which will bring that average down. It doesn't redo it, unfortunately, but it will bring that down. However, it won't update real time there. So what we're going to do is we are going to go and search for properties above $1 million, and we're going to cap it at 1.25. So we're going to go there. So this gives us a good range of homes available in Southlake that we could realistically look at today. So as you can see, there's currently 6 homes for sale in Southlake in this price range of $1 million to 1.25. So we have some on the west side of town. We have one a little bit closer to Southlake Boulevard, beautiful home. We have one right down here, a little bit south of Southlake Boulevard. And we have, I love anytime anybody does the evening shots when it comes to photography, I'm all about it. So we're gonna need to check that one out just because of the image. And then we have 1.2 down here. So let's start on the west side and see what we have going on with this home being offered just over $1 million, 4 beds, 3 baths, 3,775 square feet on 1.05 acres. Now that home is being offered at $1,039,000, which has 4 beds, 3 baths, 3,775 square feet, and located on 1.05 acres. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna check out this property over here that's 1.15 million, 4 beds, 3 baths, almost 4,000 square feet, very, very close to 4,000 square feet, and on 1/3 of an acre. Now that home is being offered at $1.15 million. It has 4 beds, 3 baths, 3,964 square feet, and it's located on a 0.368 acre lot. So that is here, a little bit central part of Southlake. Let's go a little bit closer to Continental Boulevard and see the type of home that we can purchase there for $1.2 million. 4 beds, 4 baths, 4,274 square feet, and it's located on 0.31 acres. Now this home is being offered at $1.2 million. It has 4 beds, 4 baths, 4,274 square feet, and located on 0.31 acres. So what we're gonna do now, and what we do with all of the cities, is we actually go a little bit up beyond our competition. So we know what the median home price is, roughly. It's been shared with us from Zillow, and we see the current median price. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go beyond the competition by increasing our budget just slightly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make that 1.25 our floor now, and we're gonna go up to, let's go to right here, 1.75. So a $500,000 delta to see the homes that are available. Now, given that we are going up in price, of course, there is going to be, it's going to be a higher price, clearly, which means a higher budget, but at the same time, you're not in competition with as many people in that particular area. So you see here, we have about 12 results for Southlake at this price point between 1.25 million and 1.75 million dollars. So let's look around. So this is being offered at 1.5, 1.4, 1.4 as well, 1.3, beautiful. We're gonna need to come back to that one maybe. 1.45, 1.5, that one, the land almost 2 acres, 1.75 acres. 1.3, 1.5, beautiful, 1.5. We might come back to that one as well. It's actually next to the other one that we just saw. 1.35, 1.5, and then 1.3. All right, so this one's a Main Street. This might be mixed use. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to that one that we saw at 1.295, 4 beds, 4 baths, 4,237 square feet, and located on 0.858 acres. What a gorgeous looking home, right? That one's being offered at $1,295,000. Has 4 beds, 4 baths, 4,237 square feet, and it's located on 0.858 acres. Now we're gonna go down here. We saw another property that was another waterfront property, so we're gonna check this one out. This one is just shy, and I mean just shy of 1.5 million. It is 5 beds, 4.5 baths, 4,641 square feet, and located on half an acre. Now that home is being offered at just shy of $1.5 million. It has 5 beds, 4.5 baths, 4,641 square feet, and located on 0.547 acres. Now, one quick note, by the time that you're watching this video, those homes are most likely gone. They have probably already sold. So if you're looking for the most current list of homes for sale in Southlake right now, then go down to the description because that list is waiting for you. So now that we put a visual to the price of a home in Southlake, let's see what a monthly mortgage payment can look like. Now we're going to keep things simple and use this mortgage calculator from bankrate.com. You can use any other mortgage calculators that you want, but for our purposes today, this will do the trick. So feel free to follow along. We're going to go to the home price. And we're going to say that the property that we're going to purchase in Southlake is going to be $1.2 million. All right. And the down payment we're going to put on that property is going to be 20%. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to put 20% down when you purchase a property. You can put less than 20%. The reason that most folks think that you need 20% is because that's what you've been told in the past, but really where the 20% comes from is if you have less than 20% equity or less than 20% down on a home that you purchase, that's when you have to pay what's called PMI if you have a conventional loan, so private mortgage insurance. So you see it right here, it even gives us a spot for us to fill this out. Given that in this example, in this breakdown, we're going to go with 20% down, we're actually not going to fill that out because we don't have PMI given that we're at least 20% down. Now, if we had put 10% down as an example, then we would be responsible for PMI, again, private mortgage insurance. And to give you an idea of what PMI would look like in terms of cost, well, take any interest rate that you get, whether that's a 4, 5, 6, whatever the interest rates happen to be doing at the time when you're watching this video, just add roughly 0.5 or 1.5 percentage points above that. So if this was a rate that we got, then I would just add 0.5%. So I would be almost paying 6%. There's a lot of other factors, but I'm just giving you the rule of thumb here. When we're talking about PMI, again, that's the last we'll discuss about PMI because we got to keep going. But with that being said, the home is 1.2 million. We're putting 20% down. We're going to go with 30 years. This is a realistic interest rate that we can get today. But just know that when you're talking about this type of home, you're actually eligible. You're eligible for what's called a jumbo loan. So Just be aware that when you're talking about homes that are in the higher price points, and you're going to want to check out those limits. And if you need a connection to a qualified lender, our preferred lender is down in the description. For the purposes of today, we're not going to worry about zip code because it's not going to affect this calculator. It doesn't pull this information in. And also from the credit score, it's not going to affect this calculator either, because we're already assuming that we're going to get a relatively competitive rate in today's market as of time of this recording. So when it comes to property taxes, this is where we're gonna bring back that conversation of why property taxes are important, because this is, right now you see that this price, okay, that's a lot less than I thought. Well, things might change. So let's just say that the home is $1.2 million. That's what you purchased for. And let's just say that the property itself is being taxed on that entire amount. Let's just say that there's two things. There's the market value, what you purchased the property for, and there's the assessed value, what the county deems your property to be worth. In most cases, hear me please on this one. In most cases, the assessed value of your property is less than your market value, meaning you can sell it for this price and get this in your bank account, and the county is seeing your property worth at $800,000, $900,000, $1 million. So it would be less than this. I know it's a little bit, I know I'm starting to get into the weeds here, but I hope that you can appreciate the level of detail that we're going into, because this can surprise you when you purchase a property and you might be stretching it when you get into the property, and then come next year, well, heck, now you're in a big jam because property taxes just completely exploded on you because the value of your property exploded, and then you're looking at an unmanageable payment. All that to say is what we're going to do is we're going to say that the market value is the same as the assessed value, meaning that you're being assessed and you're being taxed on the market value of the home. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply $1.2 million times 0.0242. I believe our interest rate was, it was 2.42. If I'm mistaken, my apologies, but whatever the interest rate was at that time, whatever the property tax rate was that we discussed earlier, I think it was 2.42. If not, I'll need to go back and rewatch this. But if that is correct, and if I remember that property tax rate correctly, it's about $30,000 in property taxes that you're paying on this property, assuming, again, making assumptions here, assuming that the assessed value is equal to this, and also assuming that we're not factoring in the homestead exemption, which on both of those things, it would actually reduce your assessed value. But we're not going to get too much further into the weeds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that almost $30,000 tax bill, and I'm going to mistype it. That's what I'm going to do. That is what you're paying per taxes. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. Your property taxes is, you saw that what that price was there. And if we're looking at a home that is being assessed this amount, then you're looking at that type of property tax per month. All right, so this might be surprising some of you, this especially if you're coming from other states that don't really put too much emphasis on property taxes. Well, here in Texas, it's a top 5 state when it comes to property taxes in terms of the higher end. So the highest property tax state is it's usually New Jersey. But when you factor in the New Jersey versus our prices and our percentage and the amount of taxes that we add to this, what's comprised of the taxes that we already talked about, the schools, the hospitals, the county colleges and things of that nature, then we're one of the most expensive property tax states. Now, there's a lot of other benefits of Texas. I love Texas, not leaving. It's a fantastic state. But at the end of the day, property taxes is one of those things that if you're not used to it, you will. you will get a surprise very, very early on. And when it comes to home insurance, I don't put too much focus on this. I'm just going to put $500 in homeowners insurance. It could be substantially more. It could be substantially less. I just want to put something out there that you can start considering when it comes to home insurance. A lot of it's going to depend on the age of the home, the features of the home, if you have a pool, if you don't have a pool, if you yourself have ever put any claims on the property. This is just a starting point. So again, I'm not going to put too much emphasis on the homeowner's insurance. If you're looking for our preferred home insurance provider, I will link that information down below, but for our purposes today, I'm not too concerned about it. Just giving you just being honest with you right there. And when it comes to HOAs, again, it varies all over the board. So I'm just going to put $500 of an HOA. That's just gonna be all over the place, especially in a place like Southlake where there are a good amount of HOAs. But at the end of the day, I want you to know that this is something that you can easily figure out. So it's a property tax, but this is really one of the harder bills to swallow when you're just learning about, or not necessarily learning about property taxes, but you're not used to the property taxes being this rate, right? So this is a realistic scenario. This is a realistic monthly payment when it comes to your home. So on a home that you purchase at $1.2 million, a monthly payment can look almost as close to $9,000. All right, so what'd you think? Did the mortgage payment surprise you? Did you think it was going to be more? Did you think it was going to be less? Let me know in the comment section down below. Well, now that we know more about the real estate situation in Southlake, let's take it one step further and really look at the cost of living as a whole, because we still have to factor in things like food, utilities, healthcare, and more. All right, so what you're seeing on the screen is a comparison between Southlake, Texas, and the United States. So 100 is our benchmark. That is the national average. So if the number that Southlake has is higher than 100, that means that it's more expensive. Now, if it's lower than 100, it means that it's less expensive. So if you look at the overall, you see that Southlake is 64% more expensive to live in than the national average. Now, if we break them down by categories, we see that groceries is 9.5% more expensive than the national average as well. And when we look at health, we see that it's just under the national average. So that is right about on par. And in reality, the elephant in the room is actually the housing. You see that it's 190% more expensive than the national average. Now, the median home price does vary, but you can see that it's substantially higher than the national average. The best way to get the true price of real estate in Southlake is by going through the exercise that we just went through, where we logged into the MLS and got those numbers directly. And when it comes to utilities, we see that it's 1% more expensive than the national average. As far as transportation goes, it's 15% more expensive than the national average. And the rest of the miscellaneous items such as clothing, restaurants, entertainment is more expensive by 9%. So at this point, if you're thinking Southlake is the city for me, then go down to description and check out the homes available for sale in Southlake right now. Now, if you're still on the fence, instead of me trying to sell you Southlake, let me share with you some comparable cities for you to check out. One of those cities is Highland Park, and the other is University Park. And the third city to check out is going to be Westlake. All three of those cities have similar characteristics, amenities, and features and real estate than what you just saw with Southlake. All right, now it's your turn. If we haven't covered a city that you want to see on this channel, then let us know in the comment section down below. Or if you're looking to make money on your next real estate transaction, regardless if you're buying or selling, then check out the special link that we have for you down below.